Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. Seeing as I've done the entire Alien Predator Total Destruction collection and Predators, it would appear that there is nothing else I can talk about with the Alien and Predator franchises, at least for a while, and I guess that's right, unless of course you want to grasp at straws. Take Jean-Claude Van Damme, for instance. The Belgian-born action movie star was made famous in the 1988 film Bloodsport. But before that, one major movie he was cast in for a while was Predator. And no, Arnold didn't take his role, Kevin Peter Hall did. That's right, Van Damme was poised to play the Predator before the creature was given an overhaul into the one we know today. And that's a good way to look at Van Damme's Hollywood career, a series of highs and lows, as we've recently seen him rise again in the box office since 2008 after a slump that started back in 1994 when he starred in Street Fighter. During this time, a lot of his movies were actually straight-to-DVD projects, not exactly high on the cinematic totem pole. And that brings us to his 2002 movie, Derailed. Not to be confused with the mediocre 2005 theatrical release of the same name, Jean-Claude Van Damme's Derailed is an awkwardly directed mess of action with a plot that leaves you scratching your head, in the bad way. I really can't get into much more detail without diving into this one, so let's climb aboard and release the air brake. As this movie opens, we see a car with a ridiculous amount of smoke pulling up to a military facility.
You want some ganja, man?
Hey, miss.
It turns out the car is owned by Galina Constantine, played by Laura Harring, one of the better actors in this film.
My car always breaks down.
Well, if you'd stop burning pot roast in the engine, it might stop having that problem.
This area is restricted.
But there's nowhere else for miles.
Red flag right here. Why is she there? Think about it.
Oh, let me help you.
Well, what did you think was going to happen, nitwit? Also, whose idea was it to put pigtails on Galina? Laura is 38 years old in this movie, and while yes, she still does look quite nice, pigtails just look silly. And oh yeah, this is the only scene where she even has pigtails, so why? Moving on, Galina begins infiltrating the facility, but I can't help but notice that for some reason, porn music is playing. Care to explain that, Desi Markovsky? Fortunately, she has a bunch of high-tech gizmos at her disposal that would put Bond to shame. However, she isn't so good at timing these things, as a soldier catches her in the act. That's certainly not supposed to be there! What the fuck? She missed by like 4 feet! And it was bloody obvious! Just because you add a sound effect at a certain point doesn't make it an effective action scene. I'm more confused than excited. Not facing any more opposition, she sprays xenomorph blood on the safe and procures a small case. Yes, there's a biohazard symbol. Thanks for pointing that out, Bob. Personally, I would have just zoomed in on it, but I guess a cartoony closing circle works too. We then cut to Vienna, Austria, where... What the fuck? That's not Austria! That's Italy! It's the city of Florence! How do you fuck that up? I mean, I guess if you're not into European cities, you might not notice, but it's about the same as if I were to try pulling this shit on you. Well, while in Vienna, the land of the suicidal pedestrians, we are introduced to Jacques Kristoff, played by our leading man Jean-Claude Van Damme. He meets up with his boss, Lars, who is interrupting his vacation.
Look, we have a situation.
What about Malcolm? He's in Berlin.
No, he's back in the States.
Sweet Jesus, could you stay on one shot for longer than 3 seconds?
It's a babysitting job.
May I get you something?
No, thank you.
I'll have another one of these.
You sure you don't want a pastry?
Tell me.
Don't like quick cut editing? Too bad, we've got 80 more minutes of it to deal with. But don't worry, it's all in easy-to-digest 2-second clips. Jeez, I feel like this movie should have a warning for epileptics. So Lars tells Jacques that although this is an easy babysitting escort job that anybody could do, he's the only one who is available to do it.
Her cover. She's some kind of circus freak.
Masquerade dancer, circus freak. Same thing, really. Lars tells him that the only safe route is on one specific train, and Jacques is off to work.
Any ideas how to explain this to my wife?
No.
Oh, his wife doesn't know what he does for a living. Because it's all secret and stuff. Why? Why the fuck don't you tell your wife what you do? Maybe not everything, but enough to know that you do some pretty serious shit that's supposed to be kept under wraps. I'm pretty sure that CIA agents' marital partners know they're married to CIA agents. So the next scene introduces Madeline, played by Suzanne Gibney. Now, this has to be my favorite scene in the whole movie. Why? Well, Susan just so happens to be the best actor in the entire film, but also, if you look closely at the scene, you notice something.
Calling me, but you're away from the office for 2 days and...
You thinking like interrupting a vacation?
I don't know. June, you're in Rome. July, Washington.
There are no cuts! The entire scene is just the camera following these two as they have their conversation. Relish it, people. It won't last. So he lies to his wife about what his job is and who he's going with.
Vladimir is an important client.
They
okay?
all are. When do we get to be important?
I'm sure that won't come back to bite him in the ass. And goes out to say goodbye to his kids.
Show me what you got. Good. One more time.
Huh. His son knows martial arts, and there's a little hand signal for him to do the trick. Who wants to bet that that's going to come in handy in the third act? Arriving in Slovakia, Jacques meets up with Galina.
I wouldn't trust you if your tongue came notarized.
Well, you've put yourself in a fine position to check now, haven't you? While he briefs her on their exit, the Slovakian army closes in on them, and...
No, this is my show.
She turns on music? Okay, I'm very serious now. This action sequence uses flashing lights in a way that, although it's not the most intense, it may legitimately cause problems to any epileptics out there. So, if any of you out there suffer from epilepsy, I advise you to turn away from the monitor, or minimize it, or put another window over the video player, something to prevent you from being able to see the video until this sequence is over. Don't worry, you're not missing anything special. So she turns on some music that is best described as... orchestral techno? Is that a genre? And takes Jacques with her, as the wires lift them up from the stage. Awfully convenient that those don't require operators, isn't it?
Hold your fire! We want her alive!
A completely pointless line, as everyone continues to shoot at her for the next 5 minutes. Overall, this action scene sounds good on paper. Lights, music, martial arts, and gunfire while suspended on wires? But the half-assed execution completely drains all of the excitement out of it. The fuck? Did Galina just turn into Jacques in that cut? Okay, seizure-inducing scenes over. Those sensitive to epilepsy may continue to watch the nausea-inducing scenes at their leisure. I love how that when there are two men, the second could easily just shoot Jacques, but patiently waits to get his ass kicked instead. You're not supposed to shoot her! You can blow his ass away anytime you want! Why didn't you? Escaping into the busy streets, they evade their pursuers. They even walk right past them as they get into a taxi, and then...
Sorry, emergency.
What the fuck is wrong with you? You got away! They didn't notice you! They didn't notice you getting into the cab! Why in Pelco would you steal it if you just... What, was the action scene not long enough? So, onto the car chase. It's probably where most of the movie's budget went, but since it's Bob directing, it's still marred by the same problems. The soldiers shoot out one of the cab's tires, but fortunately the car handles just as well anyway, because they obviously just threw some sparklers in there, but we'll get to that in a second. In the meantime, the sluggish collision shots are so lacking in excitement, even the nearby pedestrians look bored. Finally, crashing by a gas station, we see the sparks continue to fly from the back tire, even when it's not on the street. How fucking badly polluted is the air in this country? Then we get the big payoff, where the station catches fire and a bunch of shit blows up. Unfortunately for us, though, the good quality explosion is ruined by several shoddy effects spliced in. That's like serving roast turkey with a side of bubble tape. Though it turns out that blowing shit up goes completely undetected in Slovakia as they make their way through to the train station.
What are you doing?
Going to the ladies' room. The situation calls for a little finesse.
Galina heads into the bathroom to change, and we get to see the Slovakian army's magical teleporting abilities at work. Okay, we see a couple going down there. Okay, now they're gone. And two more appear coming back, and holy shit, two more. After about 30 seconds, Galina comes out and... what the fuck? She's wearing about 5 pounds of lipstick, an obvious wig, and a trench coat? Why not the big-ass hat and sunglasses to complete the ensemble? The only place this outfit would help her blend in is an Inspector Gadget convention! They have little trouble boarding, but Jacques is displeased with their cabin.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to change compartments.
Yes, sir. But...
Do you have one with a large Pullman bed? This is a very special trip for us.
Thank you, madam. I can move you to 1B. It's in the next car. Please follow me.
What? They got upgraded to first class just like that? Jeez, I gotta try that trick next time I fly Lufthansa. I'll just slip one of the attendants 20 euros and get moved over to the seats that usually cost thousands of dollars more. We are then shown a bar, and it's obvious to tell who our side characters are for this excursion, as they are the only 3 who have lines, and also have obvious character traits. You have the music woman, the least annoying as she is given the least screen time, the Texan, who is about as authentic as Taco Bell beef, and the walking plot device.
I'm always tinkering with my bikes, keep them running smooth, you know. You know, I hope they loaded my bike on good. It looks like they just threw it on. Got some pictures of my bike, yeah. Want to take a look?
Okay, he's mentioned his bike 3 times in the last 5 seconds. Think maybe it'll show up later on? Well, Jacques and Galina make it to the room and... what the fuck? Seriously, Galina. You were trying to keep a low profile, move around undetected, while wearing that?! So the train gets moving, and they escape Slovakia.
Well, yeah, I know she did some relief work in Bosnia for the World Health Organization. And they told me that she could be headed back for a spell.
So Plot Device's love happens to be part of the World Health Organization.
Hey, bartender, line them up here. 2 more right here, please, would you? Thank you. These are on me. In fact, all the drinks tonight are on me. Conductor told me he'd pick up my bar tab if I'd switch compartments.
Sweet.
You accepted moving from first class to coach? For free booze? Do you have any idea how much booze you're gonna have to guzzle to make that a worthwhile trade? Hey, wait a minute, isn't booze included in first class? Back in the cabin, Galina is sitting and Jacques standing. Then she's standing, he's sitting, and... what the fuck even happened there? Well, the train is shown stopping at a station, and several passengers board that... how should I put this? Just scream, "I'm a bad guy." And I don't really understand why they need to signal to each other to move in. It's a fucking train! People are supposed to get on! Just get in line like everybody else and you'll be unnoticed! Trust me! And the bad guys in this movie look campy as hell, but my famous has to be Frowny over here, who gives frowns so intense they rival James Rolfe. Amidst all this, Nerdling and Van Damme have no problem hopping into the lead car and hijacking the train completely undetected. The fuck? No guards or travelers notice that at all? So the villains start loading up and... what the hell? Did that guy just load his leg like a shotgun? I guess we better establish a relationship. That should do. Jacques' cell phone is cut off, but Galina shows that girls just want to have fun.
I like married men.
I have to say, that's a very nice looking top. I thought this the first time I saw it in this film. What, is the budget so low you couldn't afford to buy her another shirt? Jacques doesn't give in, however, and we then see more of the bad guys moving into position before...
Who is it?
Was it necessary to show us Van Damme tucking in his shirt, so that when we go to this scene, we see him with his hand shoved down his pants? Having his gun at the ready, he checks the knock at the door. It turns out to be his wife, who doesn't seem too upset to have a gun pulled on her, and she brought the kids with her too.
They signed for the camera, Dad!
Wait, did he tell her exactly what train he was going to be on and cabin? Wait, no, he switched cabins earlier. How the fuck did she know where he was? Obviously, as they poke around, they soon find Galena. You could tell her the truth now. You know, your marriage is pretty much over unless you tell the truth.
This is my new client.
Or just lie some more. Yeah, sure, you were just caught with a 40-year-old dressed up to look like a 20-year-old. I don't think lying is gonna help you, dipshit! Before the dust can settle, however, the bad guys are already storming the rooms, and Jacques is captured.
What the hell?
What the fuck? They forgot to add the sound effect to the shotgun? Oh, they have no problem giving it to a leg, but an actual prop shotgun? Why bother? During the sweep, a confrontation erupts.
Why don't we all try to calm down?
Why doesn't anybody notice that? The other scuffle isn't exactly loud or very distracting. Shouldn't somebody... Never mind. So returning to the cabin, Jacques finds Galena missing and immediately assumes she got out in the air vent. Because, you know, even trains have air ducts large enough for people to freely move around in. So Frowny tells Mason they couldn't find Galena, but Mason is sure she is on the train and corrals all the first-class passengers into the bar. Galena exits the vent, but doesn't bother to check to see that a goon was right there. He then... searches? Wait, let me look at that again. She catches him off guard, however, and... No, I didn't add that sound effect. That was in the movie. So she chokes him between her thighs. I guess that's supposed to be the sexy takedown, but the scene is too dark to see anything anyway, so bad luck to anyone who actually wanted to see it. Before she can escape, though, Jacques arrives and stops her so he can have a chance to save his family. He also finds out that her package wasn't sensitive information like he was told, but a biological weapon.
A biological weapon.
They call it SP-43. It's a mutated strain of smallpox mixed in with several other pathogens.
Just so you know, they never tell us what those other pathogens are, so from here on out, it pretty much is just smallpox. Wait, how the hell did she get smallpox from Slovakia? Last I checked, the only two countries with access to the virus are the United States and Russia, and usually when you want to weaponize a virus with today's technology, you're going to need the virus to work from. They head to the roof and move up the train. Guess the air vents are old hat by now. So Mason decides he should establish at this point that he is a very, very evil man. No! Oh well, it's not like he just shot someone for no reason. Okay, so that's 25 points of evil so far. It's pretty good, but it's still below drown a puppy, burn an orphanage, and run for office, so I've seen more evil. After showing his evil, he notices Jacques through the window and sends a few goons in pursuit. When this action scene picks up, it immediately becomes a confusing mess as the movie splits into two frames, showing the two fights occurring simultaneously with only two people in each cut. What, was the choreography too hard for 4 whole people in a fight scene? And it's not like the Hulk where this kind of multi-panel crap is pulled throughout the movie. This is the only scene that uses it. So the fight ends and Mason teleports into the scene. The two of them are searched until the smallpox vials are found.
That's more like it.
Those are mine!
Why the fuck did you do that? That's about as stupid as hosting a children's sing-along day live from Tourette's camp! But to be honest, I love this scene solely because of Frowny's reaction to the situation.
No.
It's okay.
Going to die!
You're not going to die. Since neither of you remember science class, let me remind you that while this liquid is highly infectious, we can and are going to make an antidote, a vaccine.
Vaccines generally work best before you get infected. I mean, with smallpox, you could lessen the symptoms quite a lot if you get vaccinated within 3 days of the infection, but that's smallpox with a 12-day gestation period, so this is a 90-minute movie. I'm sure they're pretty much fucked.
I'm so sorry.
10 more evil points right there.
Throw her off the train. And kill him.
5 more there. Oh, 50 points. That's as much as a used car salesman. Getting pretty damn evil here. But instead of killing Jacques while he's, you know, dazed and easily killed, they instead wait for him to stand on his own power so they can toy with him.
You tough, right? Come on now. Tell me what you got. Come on.
You fucking moron! He awkwardly fights them off and latches onto the train door when they kick him out. While Mason takes Galena to yell at her, but not kill her for some reason, she lays the moves on him and we get a distorted, awkwardly edited makeout scene spliced with Jacques climbing under the train instead of on the roof where it's safer. I don't even know what the fuck to think of that. He climbs all the way to the lead car and finds Gordon Freeman, but takes him out by... Holy fucking shit! He just jammed him into the engine! $25 evil points for that one. Galena finishes servicing Mason, and he handcuffs her to a table. Ooh, kinky.
Fuck you.
You're already dead.
I'm pretty sure the experience of that was infinitely more unpleasant than your burn. So, with 2 goons incoming, a helicopter nearby ready to pick up Mason, and the train stopping, Jacques overloads the engine and ruptures the brake line to keep the train going. Moving on to fight, he grabs goon number 1 and... She died? How the fuck did she die from that? He hardly touched her! What, did she have 1 hit point?
She was the love of my life.
Well, how is he supposed to know she had the endurance of a Fabergé egg? Their fight is similarly awkward and ends confusingly. The off-scene helicopter pilot can't seem to land his CG helicopter's ladder on the model terrain, so lowers it to the roof of the train instead. Jacques ties it down on the flimsy poles. What the hell is that supposed to accomplish? He'll just rip them up when he pulls away. He can't pull up? How is the chopper not strong enough to pull up from that? And even if it can't break off, shouldn't it fling sideways at least a little? It doesn't. It just remains in its perfect position the whole time, even crashing into the fucking mountain. While in the tunnel, Galena escapes her confines and pickpockets the package. Back in the bar car, everyone is getting very sick, very quickly. So much for that 12-day gestation period.
I think it might be smallpox.
Oh, but don't let that get in the way of the plot.
Wasn't that wiped out?
Yeah, it was eradicated back in 1973.
It was declared eradicated in 1979, and the World Health Association didn't actually recognize it as such until 1980. Oh well, I guess it's not like anyone was actually contracting smallpox. Well, goddammit! All the way on the back of the train, Jacques is calling the general and telling him the situation.
Yeah. There has been exposure.
My God. Do you have the vials?
The cronies spot him, however, and we get another confusingly edited firefight, this time with horrible effects to boot. Jacques manages to find Plot Device's motorcycle, however, which is actually a dirt bike, but whatever. Boy, I'm sure glad they established this earlier, otherwise I wouldn't believe it. But, you know, the smallpox gestating in 10 minutes, that's perfectly fine. Evading Frowny, Jacques leaps off the train and rides into the night. Well, that was a dick move.
Kristoff's dead.
You sure this time?
Yeah. I saw him fly off the top of the train on a motorcycle. No way he could have survived.
That's your basis? He's already survived how much already? And you really think that that killed him?
He's dead.
You sure? Yeah. I saw him eat 12 double quarter pounders with cheese. No way he survived that. While Madeline and Plot Device work on helping the sick, she has an epiphany.
Most countries stopped inoculating against smallpox in 1979. We've had our shots, so our immune systems still have a trace of the vaccine.
Well, it must not be a heavily mutated strain of smallpox if your previous immunization is providing protection.
So what you're saying is that we're safe. We can't get it.
No, we can. It'll just be delayed.
What? Immunity is immunity, not delaying the onset of the disease. If all the immunization did was lengthen the gestation period, then we wouldn't have been able to eradicate smallpox. But her daughter suddenly begins having seizures, which is not a symptom of smallpox, and she declares her fever has reached dangerous levels. What? This makes no fucking sense. Molecules have already formed on her face, and while they look far too mild compared to actual smallpox, which I will not show an example picture of because, to be perfectly honest, it's quite horrifying. At the point of infection where molecules appear, sufferers no longer have the fever associated from the disease. And if it was caused by one of those other unnamed pathogens, then why are those who have the smallpox vaccine not at least suffering from the fever? Mason spots Jacques outside on the dirt bike and opens fire. Then, based on ridiculously loose information, figures out that Madeline is his wife.
Passports. Yours and the brats. Now!
Jacques jumps on and begins trying to stop the train when Mason calls him on the intercom.
I've had my initial consultation with the firm of Kristoff and Kristoff. So here's the deal. You've got 2 minutes to get to compartment 5B.
Well, that was awfully damn fast. Now wait, how did he even know he was on the train? He barely got on in time to be able to hear the message. So heading back, he runs into Galina.
If you had let me go, everything would be okay. I would be fine.
She's right, you know.
Listen, with the vials, we can cure you and everybody else.
What? No, you can't. Smallpox vaccines already exist, and although not in enough quantity to suppress an outbreak, certainly enough for 24 people on a train.
It's too late.
She's right again.
No, it's not.
Yes, it fucking is! Based on the speed the disease is progressing in this movie, everyone's gonna be dead in an hour. Then again, she shouldn't even be able to stand. So he gets the vials from her and heads for Mason. While this is going on, a drunk happens to be running another train directly at them.
Ryder, you idiot! Stop the train! There's no way to avoid a collision.
I don't know whether to hate the terrible acting or the horrendous writing. So Jacques arrives in the nick of time and makes the exchange.
Say your prayers.
Okay, going back on an agreement that's 0 evil points. Jacques, you get 40 stupid points for that one. What the fuck did you think he was going to do? But hey, the hand signal comes into play and Ethan saves the day. Just before the drunken train slams into them and drags them into a gas tank, blowing up so hard, night becomes day. Trying to find Ethan, Jacques is distraught.
Ethan!
I'm pretty sure he's not back there. I mean, he was in the same compartment as you during the collision. So, back in Austria, the android explains their plan.
Troops in place.
Yes, sir. If they reach the bridge at Charles, we have a squadron of Apache gunships in place loaded with thermochemical bombs. Those bombs carry enough heat to destroy the virus.
Wow. For once they showed helicopters that weren't crappy CGI or obvious miniatures. It's because they're stock footage, but whatever. Therefore, trying to stop the train, the conductor instructs Jacques to disconnect the engine and use the handbrake. Mason shows up, however, and another confusingly edited fight scene ensues. really can't rate these scenes because I spend more time trying to figure out what the hell's going on than anything. Tying him to the door, Jacques leaves him to hang as the compartments separate. Damn! 10 more ego points for Jacques. He tries turning the handbrake, but it proves to be very difficult. As the lead car reaches the bridge, the model is blown to pieces. How the fuck did they do that on a bridge? Wouldn't it be a lot easier to contain and repair on the ground? Oh, so we could have this scene. Makes perfect sense. So the model lurches forward, and they all rush to get back to the other car when Ethan arrives carrying the virus. I hate to break it to you, Jacques, but I think your wife had an affair with Plot Device. And they escape before the terrible effects collapse and explode, leading us to the quarantine scene. Jacques hands the virus over to the World Health Organization.
2 vials of live virus. More than enough to cure everybody affected.
It doesn't work like that, Jacques. You're all dead.
Maybe when we get out of here, I'll buy you a drink.
Oh, you can buy a drink from me and my lady friend.
What?
Didn't I tell you? She works for the World Health Organization.
Doing fine.
Don't you, Petra?
Oh, Plot Device. You're so convenient. And finally, Lars shows up. However, Jacques has some questions for him.
With the virus, you have it?
Yes, I do. I just have one question. How much are you gonna get for the virus?
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. You're probably still a little disoriented.
No, I'm thinking clearly. Mason's plan was impossible without inside information.
Wait! What in the fuck do you mean? Lars was behind Mason hijacking the train the whole time? Why? Galena was bringing him a package anyway! This makes no fucking sense whatsoever! And this is the big twist ending? We were better off thinking that Mason was working alone and just really lucky. Hearing that Lars gave him this info so that either he could keep the virus or Lars sells it to another party has no logical place in these events, as Lars could have easily pursued either of those ends by simply waiting to have it delivered to him in the first place.
Zakhev, arrest this man.
With pleasure, Jack.
And where the fuck does chain of command come in? And this movie comes to a close with the question that's on everyone's mind.
Where's Galena?
Oh, I'm sure she'll turn up something.
Oh, she's stealing jewelry. Oh, such a wacky, zany, stupid fucking 1980s sitcom ending to a 2002 action movie. So that was Derailed. Holy fucking shit! Bargain bin action movies have a standard of quality all their own, but even forgiving the terrible acting and contrived plot, the directing and editing in this are so butt-fucked it's hard to believe a team of movie makers so incompetent could come together and even finish a product, but evidently they can, and this is what it looks like. The action is pretty basic, and while Van Damme does move pretty fluidly and gives a good performance, it's spliced together so shoddily it's hard to tell what's even happening. And the few really good effects in this movie are close to the beginning, leaving us with CGI and miniatures that look like PS2 versus Tinker toys for the climax, giving Derailed a disappointing 2 shotgun pants out of 5. The big redeeming quality of this movie is it's so terrible and campy that if you've got a group of friends that love watching bad movies and just ripping into them and having a good time with it, then this is perfect for that. Just get them together, get a bowl of popcorn, and have a good time. But if you're serious about your action movies, avoid this at all costs. Trust me. Well, I've been Decker Shado. Thank you for watching, and remember, keep those pants on safety.
like trains, kid never spoke a word, not even to his parents, not a single sound was heard. But on the first day of school, the teacher asked his name. All he did was smile as he said, I like trains. I like trains. I like trains. They put him on some Ritalin to see if that would help. The doctor found the perfect dose and asked him how he felt. He stared at the doctor with a little creepy.
As soon as you're out of the hospital, I'm gonna buy you a new fiddle.
It was violent.